Hi there, this is Unmesh from PiXimperfect. How you doing? I hope you're having a great day and making it an incredible one. This new feature entirely changes the way you play with light inside of Photoshop, and it has become way more non-destructive. Here's how it works. Earlier, you would have to go to Camera Raw, but right now this is a brand new adjustment layer. Just click on the adjustment layer icon and you will find this new adjustment layer called Light. Once you click on that and you open up the properties of it, you will have the same exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows right here as adjustment layers. Today we're going to go through how to use it, how to combine it with other incredible features in Photoshop like blend if and masking, and finally cover why we actually need it when we already have Camera Raw. We have some incredible examples for you, so without any further ado, let's get started. Back in the magical world of Photoshop, and before you rush to try this feature, know that it's only available right now in Photoshop Beta and version 27.9 and above. But I highly believe that very soon it's going to make it to the main version. Meanwhile, you can open up your Creative Cloud desktop app if you don't have Beta already installed. Go to Apps right here, Beta at the top, and from here install Photoshop Beta and you should be good to go. Now the way to add this adjustment is pretty straightforward. Simply click on the adjustment layer icon inside of the layers panel and then click on light at the very top. The properties of the light adjustment will show up and you can adjust anything right there. I'm gonna possibly decrease the exposure and increase the whites to add that added drama. You can go as much as you like as long as you don't lose details. And shadows, let's just keep it a little bit in the middle, that's fine. Highlights, take it down so that we have more details right here and so that you can take the whites even further. This looks pretty good. Now, one of the advantages of these adjustment layers is that you can stack as many as you like and you can work with masks freely. So to make a selection of the subject, select any of these three tools right here. And at the top, simply click on Select Subject. You want to make sure Sample All Layers is checked so that it sees the subject. And have a look. Fantastic selection. And with the selection active, click on the adjustment layer icon again and click on Light one more time. And this time, that adjustment layer is created with the subject as a mask. So you can work on the subject separately. Maybe a little more exposure, maybe a little more contrast. And all of the adjustments that you do, you can play with the highlights as well. You can increase the whites even more. Maybe you can work with the shadows, play with the exposure a little more, like so. And on top of that, you can combine it with other features too, like blend if. Let's say you only wanted all of these adjustments in the highlights. What do? By the way, let's go back to the Move tool here. Double click on the right side of the layer. This opens up the Layer Style dialog box. Let's ask ourselves, what do we want to do? We want to take this effect away from the dark areas. Dark areas of where? Dark areas of the subject. Where is the subject layer? The subject layer is under this layer. So we are going to work with underlying layer because it lies under it. And the dark areas are signified by which side? Right side or left side? Left side, because it is darker. So take the slider on the left to the right and it gradually goes away from the dark areas. But we don't want this to be so harsh unless you're designing a poster and you're going for that look. So to create a softer transition, hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart and just break it apart to make the transition between the areas that it shows up and the areas that it doesn't show up, make that transition smoother. So we can do something like this. Take it all the way apart, hit OK. And that is how you combine it also with blend if. Creates that wonderful look just for the subject. And then you can also combine it with other adjustment layers from Camera Raw. For example, click on the adjustment layer icon and this time let's choose color and vibrance. Say you wanted a little bit of warmth on the bright areas. So I'm going to take it to the right. There you go. I like that warmth. Maybe a little bit of tint. There you go. That's fantastic. Now, combine it with blend if. Double click on the right hand side of the layer. Say you only wanted it in the bright areas. So we need to take it away from where? The dark areas. The dark areas of what? The dark area of the layer that lies under it. So the dark areas of underlying layer. The dark areas are signified by left side or right side? Left side. So from the left side, take the slider away like so. Obviously this is harsh. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart and make adjustments according to your taste. Hit OK. And even after you do all that, you can add one more light adjustment layer on top of it. Add as many as you like. And then you can adjust possibly the highlights. It's getting too much. Maybe play with the exposure a little bit and do what whatever you want. And as a finishing touch, if you think your edit is just not doing it, you can always add a color lookup table. Click on the adjustment layer icon, choose color lookup. It just brings everything together and it actually hides a lot of your shortcomings. Let's choose for this one. You can try crisp warm. By the way, this looks really, really good. If we take it away from the shadows, that is actually crushing the shadows. That's going to look good. But you can also try edgy amber. It applies one color, brings everything together. And I know it's kind of making it monochrome, but you can always decrease the opacity. So I'm going to set it to about 20. See that warmth it brings before, after? And here's the great part. Every adjustment is easily adjustable to whatever you wish. By the way, if you wish to follow along, you can download all of the assets shown in this video so you can try it with your own hands and see how they go. Just check the link in the description and you're all set. And if you're enjoying this video so far, do not forget to subscribe and share it with someone who you might think that this might be helpful too. Let's move on to example number 2, and there are certain things you should be careful of. First of all, 2 issues. The background is much brighter and the subject is not standing out. To make the subject stand out, and again, we are going to choose any of these 3 tools. Click on select subject at the top. By the way, you can also use the contextual taskbar, entirely up to you. Once we have the selection active, we will select the move tool because I just feel comfortable when the move tool is active. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then go to light. That adjustment layer is created with the same mask. Simply let's increase the exposure to the point where it doesn't look odd. This is way too much. So about this much is fine. Now, as we do increase the exposure, notice that the highlights are blowing out. So we can take the highlights down. We can also work with the shadows. Actually, take it to the left-hand side. Otherwise, it looks way too faded and not so realistic. So let's go with this. You can also play with whites, see what they do to your photo. You can play with blacks and all that. That's fine. Once you're happy with this, one of the other not so recommended ways of becoming successful is to decimate other people's buildings instead of making your building taller. But that is absolutely fine in Photoshop. So you can do 2 things. You can brighten the subject, but also darken the background to make the subject actually stand out. You don't need to create a mask again. So click on the adjustment layer icon, choose light, and this time just hold the Alt key or the Option key. Click and drag this existing mask to this new one. Yes, we want to replace it, but this is absolutely the opposite of mask that we wanted. So select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I to invert it. Right now, this mask only targets the background. Select the symbol of the adjustment layer to open up the properties of that, and then you can adjust the exposure and everything that you want. So let's bring it a little bit slightly down and actually decrease the contrast. As long as you have more contrast on the subject will stand out. And then you can control the highlights, the shadows. It's all very, very visual. Just a little adjustment here and there. Now here's something that you should be careful of. By the way, here's the before, here's the after. The subject now stands out. But here's the problem though. Let's say you wanted to adjust the subject. If you were to select the light adjustment below the new light adjustment, and when you're editing it, the light adjustment on top of that pauses for a while. You absolutely need to be careful of that. Did you miss that? Let me show you something. So I'm going to select this light adjustment. And let's say we take the exposure all the way down. I'm not doing it, but you'll get the point. Now say I wanted to adjust the light adjustment for the subject. If I go to the subject light adjustment, and then if we try to adjust anything, have a look. As long as we are adjusting it, this light adjustment at the top pauses. So all of the adjustments you did in the background will pause for a while as long as you're adjusting this one. But as soon as you let go, the adjustments would be back. Does it make sense? No? Let me share with you a very easy example. Let's go back to this and adjust the exposure. We don't want it to be that bad. This is fine. And let's increase the exposure of the subject a little bit. Let's group both of them by selecting the first one, holding the Control or Command, selecting the second one, and then Control or Command G. We don't want this to confuse you. Now, let's say we add another light adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing light. And all we do is increase the exposure a little bit and increase the contrast a little bit. Maybe just play with the highlights and the shadows as well. We made all of these changes. They may not be nice, but the point is different. Let's say we take the brush tool and right under this layer, we create a brand new layer at the top and bring it under this light 3. As long as we are playing with the brush, have a look, this pauses. But as soon as I let go, the adjustments are back again. As long as you're playing with, let's say, the text tool and you're typing something, it pauses. But as soon as you apply by clicking on the check right there at the top or clicking anywhere else, the adjustments are back. As long as you're doing something else with another light adjustment layer or even a grain adjustment layer under it, if you're changing the amount of the grain, you're adding a lot of grain to your photo, it pauses. But as soon as you let go, the adjustments of the light are back. So imagine this is the light adjustment layer, and right under it, there's a grain adjustment. As soon as you start adjusting the grain, the light adjustment at the top will pause. But as soon as you're done, it will apply all of those adjustments that you had made. Right under the light adjustment, if you start changing the text, or if you start adding some paintbrush strokes, as long as you're doing it, it will pause it, but as soon as you let go, it will instantly apply it. Just something that you need to be careful about. And the reason why I think they're doing that is to help with performance. Because if this was the other way, where when you adjusted these sliders, every adjustment happened real time, it would have to calculate everything in real time, and moving these sliders could become laggy. Let's move on to the next example where we combine it with a lot more adjustment layers. I took this picture in Paris and I thought that maybe this would look incredible in black and white. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose black and white. Where did it go? There it is. And it has a wonderful way where you can control how bright you want the reds to render, yellows to render. And even though they're pretty cool, there was no adjustment inside of adjustment layer to take care of the highlights and the shadows, etc. So click on the adjustment layer icon. Now we have light. So on top of black and white, we have a lot more control with exposure, contrast, highlights, and all that. In this case, let's create a high contrast black and white. And obviously we are losing details and shadows. So let's add that back in and decrease the exposure overall as well. Now that's getting somewhere. You can also play with the highlights, see what you want, and obviously play with the whites. This is something really fun to enjoy. You just wiggle these sliders to see what you like and which direction you want to go. Let's say you're content with this. Just this adjustment goes a long way. Now on top of that, you can add more adjustments derived from Camera Raw, like clarity and dehaze, and let's just play with that. That just brings so much punch. And you can also create masks, have a different level on the subject, different level on the background. A lot of flexibility here. Grain as well, so let's increase that. Maybe the size and the roughness of the grain. It just looks great. Now, one more thing I would have requested the Adobe team to add, and that is the vignette. It would have entirely completed the stack. But now we can also add vignettes manually. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. We can simply bring this down like so and bring the right point down like that. I know it is very dark, but wait for it. Select the mask here and then take the brush. Take a hard, round, regular brush inside of the brush tip shape. If you cannot see it, open up general brushes and select hard round brush. With black as the foreground color, just dab in the middle like so. And there you have your vignette. I'm just kidding. Press Ctrl or Command T and you can actually transform masks. Hold the Alt key or the Option key and make it larger from the center. You can also hold Shift and Alt, Shift and Option on a Mac, and then you can stretch it from the center as well, like so. And then you can move it to the subject. Hit Enter or Return. And to make the mask softer, make sure the mask is selected and you open up the properties. If you cannot see the properties, go to Window and you want to make sure Properties is checked. Then simply increase the feather settings here. And let's increase to about 400 pixels. Why not? That looks nice. One more finishing touch you can do with the vignetting is that in the vignettes, you can keep the highlights bright. For it, double click on the right hand side of the layer and take the vignette effect or the darkening effect away from the bright areas of the layer that lies under it. So we are taking this effect away, the darkening effect away from the bright areas. Now, which side represent the bright areas, right side or left side? Right side. And bright areas of what? The layer that lies under it or the underlying layer. So let's take the slider on the right to the left so that the bright areas can kind of come back like so. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart and make the transition smoother. This is nice. This creates a more natural vignette effect. hit OK once you're satisfied, and there you have it. We combined a lot of adjustments before doing anything with the black and white and after. Makes it absolutely dramatic. Now you might ask, why do we even need to use this when we already have the camera raw filter? Fair point. Let me share with you an example. It's not that it's better, but it gives you flexibility in a way that camera raw just cannot. Here, I have a subject. On top of that, I've added some text. On top of that, I've placed the subject again, just to overlay over it and have the subject over the text. Now let's say I added a camera raw filter on top of that. For that, we need to merge everything by pressing Ctrl, Alt, Shift, and E. This creates a stamp visible layer or a merged layer of everything you see on the canvas right now. And then you can go to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters, so that whatever changes you apply with Camera Raw, we can always change that later. Go to Filter and then Camera Raw Filter. And inside of Camera Raw, you played with the same light section. Maybe a little bit of exposure, slight contrast, highlights, a little bit to the left, shadows up, and blacks. This is fine. Maybe some whites. So these are all the changes, say, you made. You hit OK. Now, after you made these changes, whether they are nice or not, they're not the point. The point is, say you wanted to change the text. What do you do now? You would have to delete this layer. You would have to turn off this layer, double click on the text, and maybe you want to change it to sunny or whatever, or something like nice. I don't know, just typing something random here and placing it right there. And then we would have to create a stamp visible layer again by selecting the topmost layer, pressing Ctrl, Alt, Shift, and E, then going to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters, hit OK, and then copy the camera raw filter here or apply it all over again. This is so darn complicated. So this level of flexibility is something you get with adjustment layers. Let's delete both of these layers at the top. This is what we had. We can simply click on the adjustment layer icon, choose light, and do whatever changes we want. For example, maybe a little bit of contrast, maybe a little more exposure, a little reduction in the highlights, shadows, and blacks. Say all these changes are the changes you wanted. And at any point in time, because it's an adjustment layer, you can double click on the T, you can change it to whatever you want. I actually would move the text to the left, like so. You know what? I should have center aligned it. Double click on the text and center align it like so, and then move it to the right position. You want to make sure text is selected, not the mask. By the way, I have unlinked them so that they move separately, and let's move it here. So now when you change the text by double clicking on the text, and now when we change it to whatever, it stays in the center. Just a little nugget there. The point is, you can change the text any time. And as soon as you change the text and click elsewhere, all of the adjustments that you did with the light are back. So this is a step absolutely on the right direction, and I highly applaud Adobe on that. Please do more of this than AI. I would really be thankful. I would like to take this moment to especially thank Kritagya from Adobe for showing me around this feature, showing how it works, and working on this feature. Really a big step forward, and I highly applaud you for it. And this video is not sponsored by anyone, but credit should be given where credit is due. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other feature tips, tricks, or tutorials. I would love to hear your suggestions about this feature. What do you think? What do you think it is missing? Let's talk in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.